Adam here from the Walzer Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have a 2025 Mazda CX-5. So we'll look at the interior, exterior, some of the trim level specifics, then go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. All right, so we're behind the wheel of the 25 CX-5, and this is the Turbo Premium. So there's about 8 different trim levels when looking at the CX-5, so it can get a little tricky. So we'll try to break down some of the different options. This one does give you a lot of luxury and comfort, but big changes for 2025 are that they brought back the S model. So if you're looking for that S trim level, looking to save a little bit of cash, that's going to be kind of the base tier trim level. So that will be the new entry point for 25. They've also gone away with the non-turbo premium package, and they made a few changes to the carbon package as well, which would add wireless Apple CarPlay as well as wireless Android Auto and phone charging. Now, another thing to note, for all the 25 models, they've switched to USB-C inputs. So for the newer phones or anything you're plugging in, maybe keeping the kids busy in the back, those charging ports are now USB-C compatible. Okay, so we got some of the changes for 25 out of the way. What about this model for the Turbo Premium? Now, all Mazda SUVs are going to come standard with their all-wheel drive system, so it's great. It's wintertime out here. Obviously, you're going to want that bite and traction you'd expect out of a SUV, and being that they're all going to have the all-wheel drive, that is a pretty awesome feature. Now, I have my phone with me, as we usually do, and this particular one adds wireless charging down here, as well as wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Depending on which trim level you're looking at, that's going to be more reserved for the higher tier trim levels, but all CX-5s are going to come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which might be a wired system. But we'll get into that a little bit more. For now, let's put it in drive, go for a spin around. So being that it is wintertime here, I have to start with the interior on this model because this one does get heated seats for the driver, the passenger, and the second row is going to be heated as well. Not only that, but this gets the leather wrap steering wheel that is also going to be heated in the Turbo Premium package, and it is absolutely one of my favorite features. It makes it so nice to hop into the vehicle. I've had it running for a couple minutes. It's nice and toasty when you get in, and when your hands are warm when you're on the go, that is certainly, again, one of my favorite features. Now from there, feels very luxurious, and I mean, the cabin doesn't disappoint at all. From what you'd expect from this price point, this almost competes more with Audi, BMW than maybe Honda or Toyota. I think if you were blindfolded and then took the blindfold off, you would think you were in a German luxury SUV. And I think that says a lot for these Mazda SUVs, is they add a lot of performance and comfort. Now, one big thing for me with the Mazda, maybe over the Hondas or the Toyotas or any other model you're looking at, it's just the sportiness and fun to drive. Now, there's going to be 2 different engine options. So there's going to be the base 4-cylinder, it gives you about 180 some horsepower, and then you can bump up to the turbo. So that's going to give you 227 horsepower. And yes, it does dip a little bit on your fuel economy, as this one's rated at about 27 mpg on the highway. If you go with the non-turbo, looking for the better fuel economy, that one's going to be rated at about 31. Now for me though, it'd be pretty tough to give up the turbo. I've been scooting around today, and it does make a pretty big difference with about that 40 some horsepower bump. It's a little bit more fun to drive, but if you're looking for the great fuel economy, definitely no complaints there, as the regular 4-cylinder engine gets you more than enough power and torque to get you moving on the highway. Now, a few other things interior-wise, like I said, the wireless Apple CarPlay. So all these CX-5s are going to come with the 10.3-inch display, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and this one also gets the 360 view backup camera. Now that is pretty sweet. There's a little button you can press over here. So I'm sitting at a stoplight, I can click that, look around. It will actually stay up for a second to let me see, make sure no one's coming from the crosswalk if you can't tell. You can actually push it a couple different times to get different views. Maybe the kids left some stuff in the driveway, you're not paying attention. That's a great thing to kick on to make sure that you can see around you, and it will certainly help you out. And if you hit something, you have to be trying pretty hard because that backup camera is very clear and very helpful. Now, speaking of safety, the Mazda Safety Suite is pretty awesome as far as standard safety is concerned, but this Turbo Premium gets a ton of stuff. Whether it's that blind spot monitoring, the emergency braking, like I said, that 360 camera. You also get the parking sensors, and one of my favorite things, the adaptive cruise control. So what's great about this, you can set 4, 3, 2, 1 car length distances ahead of you, and it's got a lane departure or lane departure mitigation system. So it's gonna help you out, maybe if you're a little drowsy, you're not paying attention on the road, maybe talking to the kids in the back for a second, that will beep letting you know you might be swaying out of your lane, but it will also keep that distance to the vehicle ahead of you. So if you're doing a cabin trip, eating up a lot of highway miles, I love that feature. It is definitely something you can use every day. Now the heads-up display is also great. That's going to show you how fast you're going, as well as some of that adaptive cruise control stuff. That's pretty cool, especially it's really kind of a foggy, cloudy day today, and then it's crystal clear on the dash here. As well, I love the backlighting in the vehicle. It's really nice, and again, provides you with plenty of that luxurious feeling that you'd expect out of this vehicle. Now, a few other things, like I said, the heated seats in here, but you also are going to have a dual zone climate control, so driver and passenger can select that. And one other thing that's pretty cool, in the back seat, those are going to be 40-20-40 split rear seats. So if you've got the kids, maybe they're in ski class or hockey, you can fold that center section down, so you can still have 2 seats on the back, but run some stuff through the middle, or you can pick and choose which way to fold it. And then in the back, you do get quite a bit of storage back there, and it also is a power lift gate. So it makes it really easy to pop open the hatch, load it up, and you also do get a spare tire back there, which some new vehicles don't come with, and I seem to get that question a lot, but yes, this one does come with the smaller spare tire. Now there also is little handles on the side, so you can pull those to fold the seats down, which also makes it really convenient. There's just a bunch of great little ways to load up this vehicle, and it gives you plenty of space to go along for maybe a long weekend or just your day-to-day use. Now, as far as a little bit more luxury in this one, you also do get the Bose sound system in here, which does make a pretty big difference, and you get the sunroof up above, which does open it up pretty nicely with the darker interior. Now, what about the exterior? So the Turbo Premium does give you a little bit different treatment on the exterior. This one is the rhodium white metallic, which I definitely like because the Turbo Premium gives you those black accents on the exterior. The mirror caps are blacked out, the grille is going to be blacked out, and as well you get the black 19-inch wheels, which does give it a really good look. Yet it gives you a nice sidewall on the tire, so you're still getting plenty of traction, like I said, for those snowy days, or just driving through these terrible roads that we sometimes get in Minnesota. So a few other little cool things on the inside here. This one does kind of have a digital gauge cluster. So you can go through with the info button on the left here. And when you click through that, you can see things like maybe some of your trip computer settings, some of your fuel economy, as well as some of that safety stuff. If you didn't have the heads up display in some of the other models, you would still get that setting down there as well, which does make it pretty convenient. But I mean, overall, nothing's too complicated. That's what I like. The luxury is there, but the complication doesn't come with that. You don't have to do everything through this little infotainment system. You can just basically build it out the way that it works for you, or use the buttons to change the climate control or the heated seats. You're not flipping through a bunch of menus to do it all. Yes, the Apple CarPlay's in there, makes it easy, especially when you pair that with the button on the left here that lets you use Siri as the voice control. So again, there's a lot of focus on safety and convenience in this vehicle. Now, I like the layout. From the back looking forward, I like the vents. You kind of get this aluminum and almost like a carbon fiber finish in here. It all works really nicely together and does look really good. And I mean, you could throw somebody the keys and it wouldn't take a lesson to figure out how to drive the vehicle. And that's what's great about the Mazda, because day-to-day use, it does make it pretty simple. So what about the ride and drive? Now, the Mazda is a little bit sportier. Like I said, when comparing it to some of those other vehicles, you do feel a little bit of that, maybe some heritage of sports cars built into it. It's a little bit more fun to drive than some of the SUVs. And I like that, especially with the turbo, with that zippiness. If you put your foot down, it revs up and goes. And now this is an automatic 6-speed transmission, so there's no CVTs in the CX-5, so you still get the standard gearbox. So if you want, you can use the paddle shifters to shift through and have a little bit more fun that way. As well, you can click the little button down here to change the drive modes, so that's pretty cool there as well. But I mean, overall, road mannerisms are great. It handles these potholes really well, some of the terrible roads that we get this time of year. And I mean, especially today when it's kind of dark and foggy, the headlights up front, those LED lights out back look really cool, and they're super bright, so you can make sure that people are seeing you on the road. They've been building this vehicle a long time, and they've sold a lot of them, and you can see why. Because they've kind of perfected the design. It's easy to see out of, it's easy to load this vehicle up. I love the technology and style of these vehicles, and you know, for $25 with just a couple little changes in there, but with 8 different trim levels, there's a pretty easy way to find one that works for you. Now, this particular one, MSRP is going to be just over $40,000. So if you're looking, obviously, like I said, to save a little bit of money, you can drop down a few different trim levels. You can take the turbo away and maybe save a couple bucks there. But, you know, starting in around the high $20,000 price range, you're getting a lot of vehicle for your money, and you're only getting more convenience and luxury as you work up the trim levels. But I think, for me, The turbo is pretty cool. It's definitely fun to have. I like the sportiness of the drive. I still think high 20s, maybe even low 30s fuel economy is pretty great for a vehicle of this size. And if you're cross shopping, maybe the CR-V, RAV4, or even if you're looking at an Audi Q5, like I said, there's a lot of similar luxury and convenience in these, and I think it's worth getting out, taking for a spin, and seeing what you think. So overall, after parking here and going for a little spin around, I love the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I love the heated seats and steering wheel that you get in here, all the luxury equipment, technology, like I said, heads-up display, USB charging and heated seats even for the second row. I mean, even the styling design on the outside. I think the Mazdas still look really good, even going into 2025, being that it's kept that similar design for a while. It's kind of that if it's not broke, don't fix it, but it works really well and does look really good. So if you're in the market for a Mazda CX-5 or any other SUV, I think you gotta get out, take one for a spin, and see what you think. Now that was just a quick look and drive at the 2025 Mazda CX-5. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by anytime. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.